After discovering my wife's 20-year affair with my brother during our son's graduation, his request for a BMW was answered with DNA results and a final goodbye. Be me, 38 years old. Living in Sacramento. Work as a successful corporate lawyer. Have everything a man could dream of. Beautiful house with a pool. Perfect family, or so I thought. Name's Richard, but everyone calls me Rich. Wife Linda, been married for 20 years. Son Kevin is graduating today. Big party at our house. Everyone's here celebrating. Music playing, people laughing. Champagne flowing like water. Everything seems perfect, until it's not. Kevin approaches me near the buffet table, looking at me with cold eyes. Words hit me like a freight train. Sorry, Dad, we had to choose sides. Feel my world crashing down. Look across the yard. See Linda by the pool. She's laughing way too hard. My brother Robert standing next to her, his hand on her shoulder. Way too friendly for a brother-in-law. Kevin keeps talking, his words getting worse. Even the kids call him Daddy when you're not around. Ground feels like it's spinning. Can't believe what I'm hearing. Linda catches me watching, smirks at me, whispers something to Robert. They both laugh. Private joke between them. Blood boiling in my veins. Feel the USB drive in my pocket. 20 years of recordings. Security system backup I installed years ago. Never thought I'd need it like this. Now it's my smoking gun. Party noise fades to background. World narrows to 3 people. Linda, my wife of 2 decades. Robert, my younger brother. And me standing here like a fool. But I'm done being the fool. Time for disbelief is over. Won't swallow this humiliation anymore. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Walk towards the pool with determination. Heart pounding with every step. Linda is mid-sentence, laughing at something Robert just said. She notices me approaching. Her face falters for a split second. Quickly puts her fake smile back on, like a cheap mask she's worn for years. Oh, there you are, honey, she chirps. Voice so sugary it makes me sick. Robert's been telling me about that trip he's planning. Really? I say, my voice sharp as ice. Funny, because the only thing I've been planning is finding out why my wife and brother look like they're rehearsing for a romantic drama right here at my son's party. Air around us goes still. Linda blinks, her smirk vanishing. Robert shifts uncomfortably. Watch his smug confidence drain away. Finally, they're speechless. No quick comebacks this time. What the hell are you talking about, Rich? Linda snaps, her voice suddenly defensive. Stop being paranoid. Paranoid, I shoot back, my voice rising with anger. Paranoid would have been thinking something was off 5 years ago. When I started noticing how close you two were. This isn't paranoia, Linda. It's you two humiliating me in my own home. In front of my family, her face twists into pure mockery. Oh, come on, Rich, don't make a scene. You always do this. Turn everything into some big dramatic pity party for yourself. It's embarrassing. Embarrassing? My voice cracks with rage. Embarrassing is finding out my wife's been sneaking around with my brother and thinking I wouldn't notice. Embarrassing is my own son telling me he picked a side, and it wasn't mine. Robert finally speaks up, his voice low and pleading. Rich, calm down, man. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Turn on him, fists clenching tight. Don't you dare tell me to calm down. You've been creeping around behind my back with my wife, and now you want to act like I'm being unreasonable? What kind of brother does that? Robert raises his hands defensively. Look, I'm sorry if it looks bad. If it looks bad, I interrupt, voice thick with fury. It is bad, Robert. You're a liar. You're a traitor. And you're pathetic. Linda rolls her eyes, crosses her arms like a teenager. Oh, grow up, Rich. Maybe if you weren't so boring and predictable, people wouldn't have to find excitement elsewhere. Her words hit like a physical blow. Feel heat rising in my chest. Rage begging to be unleashed. But it's not just anger. It's deep, bone-crushing pain. Mind racing through memories. All those vacations. Family dinners. Quiet nights when I thought we were happy. How many were lies? How long has this been going on? I was predictable, I say, voice shaking with emotion. Predictable enough to work my ass off for this family. Predictable enough to show up for you and Kevin every single day. Predictable enough to trust you. Linda scoffs, her tone dripping with contempt. Trust, please. Don't act like you're some saint, Rich. You were always so busy playing the perfect husband and dad that you didn't even notice when things were falling apart. Her words sting deep, but they don't distract from the truth. Oh, I noticed, I say quietly. I noticed plenty. I just never thought you'd stoop this low. Tension between us suffocating. Party noise fading away. Guests starting to sense something's wrong. From corner of my eye. See Kevin watching from the patio. His expression unreadable. Part of me wants to shield him. But it's too late for that. He already chose his side. Linda steps closer, lowers her voice to a whisper. Listen, Rich, if you're about to do something stupid, think twice. You don't want to ruin Kevin's big day, do you? Stare at her, hands trembling with rage. You ruined it the moment you decided this. Gesture between her and Robert was more important than your family. Her face hardens, leans in close, voice dripping with venom. Family, don't make me laugh. You were never there for me, Rich. Not really. You think buying a nice house and playing the good provider makes you a great husband. Newsflash, it doesn't. Her words cut deeper than I thought possible. But something inside me shifts. Pain doesn't disappear, but it hardens into resolve. Not going to let her rewrite history. Sure as hell not letting them keep getting away with this. Reach into my pocket. Pull out the USB drive. Hold it up for her to see. You think you're so clever, Linda? You think I'm some fool who'll just roll over and take this? But this, shake the drive. Has everything, every lie you've told, every secret you thought you could hide. You want to play dirty? Fine. But don't forget who you're up against. For first time, Linda's confidence wavers. Her eyes fixed on the USB. For a moment, I see fear. Good. Let her feel what it's like to lose control. This isn't over, I say. Voice low and steady. Not by a long shot. Party still raging around us. But my entire focus is on Linda and the USB. For first time in 20 years. See cracks in her perfectly constructed facade, her smugness completely gone. Replaced by fear she can't hide fast enough. Robert still frozen in place, his mouth slightly open, searching for words to smooth things over. But there's no smoothing this over. Not anymore. Not ever. Turn and walk away. Heading for the house. Don't need to hear Linda's excuses. Or Robert's half-hearted attempts to justify what they've done. I need answers. Going to find them all. Behind me, hear Linda call out, her voice tinged with desperation. Rich, don't you dare walk away from me. Don't stop walking. Crowd parts as I march through living room. Head straight to my office. Slam the door behind me. Hands shaking as I plug USB into laptop. Been ignoring this for years. Automated backup system. Tied to house security cameras. Records everything. Conversations. Arguments. Whispers late at night. Installed it as precaution. Never imagined it would become key to unraveling my life. Files start loading. Each timestamp staring back at me. Like a ticking time bomb. Heart pounding as I click first file. Date catches my eye. 3 years ago. Day Linda canceled our anniversary dinner. Claims she was too exhausted from work. Recording crackles to life. Her voice fills the room. Robert, you've got to stop calling me when Rich is home. Her tone hushed, but playful. Do you want him to find out? Cold chill runs down my spine. As Robert's voice responds, low and confident. Relax, Lynn, he doesn't suspect a thing. Besides, you're worth the risk. Pause the recording. Breath coming in short, sharp bursts. That's all it took. One exchange to confirm everything. But I'm not done. Need the full story. No matter how much it hurts. Click another file. Then another. Each one paints clearer picture of their betrayal. Whispered conversations during family dinners. Late night calls when they thought I was asleep. Plans made while I was at work. Busting my ass to give Linda and Kevin good life. Worst part isn't even their words. It's the laughter. The ease with which they mock me. Like I'm some oblivious idiot. Too blind to see what's happening under my nose. Hours pass as I listen. Each recording tightens knot in my chest. Then I hit the file that breaks me. From last year, weekend I spent out of town for work. Thought Linda stayed home to take care of Kevin. Instead, recording captures sound of front door opening. Robert's voice calling out, "Honey, I'm home." Sound of laughter follows, hers carefree and cruel. Conversation that follows is nothing short of dagger to heart. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, Linda says. Rich is so predictable it's almost boring. But he's useful. I mean, look at this house. Look at everything he's given us. You think I'd give all this up for you if you weren't so damn irresistible? Robert chuckles. Don't worry, babe, we'll figure it out. He's too spineless to do anything even if he finds out. Spineless. Word echoes in my mind, tearing through every shred of dignity I have left. They didn't just betray me. They mocked me, disrespected me in ways I can't even process. My hands clench into fists, nails digging into palms, trying to control storm brewing inside. Yank USB from laptop. Shove it into pocket. Hurt enough. More than enough. Legs carry me back to backyard. Before I even realize I'm moving. Linda and Robert still standing near pool. Their laughter quieter now. More subdued. They know. They know their time is up. Linda spots me first. Eyes narrow when she sees USB in my hand. Rich, what are you doing? You're making a scene. Oh, I'm making a scene? I say, voice low but full of venom. You've been making a fool out of me for years, Linda. Don't you dare act like the victim now. Crowd begins to notice. Heads turning toward us. Guests murmuring to each other. Unsure whether to step in or step back. Kevin stands on patio, arms crossed, watching silently. Wonder if he even cares. I don't know what you think you heard, Linda begins. Voice sickly sweet. But you're blowing this way out of proportion. Out of proportion? I snap, voice rising. I heard you, Linda. I heard everything. The calls, the meetings, the plans. Don't bother lying. Hold up, USB. This has it all. Your confessions, your jokes, your disgusting plans to keep using me. While you screwed my brother behind my back, color drains from her face, but she quickly replaces it with indignation. Oh, grow up, Rich. So what if I needed something more? You're so stuck in your boring routine. You didn't even notice I was miserable. Miserable, I repeat, voice shaking with fury. You didn't look miserable. When you were spending my money, living in my house, raising our son, did you even think about what this would do to him? Kevin's voice cuts through tension, startling us all. Stop pretending this is about me, Dad. His tone cold. You two are just selfish. Both of you. Turn to him, stunned. What do you mean, both of us, Kevin? I've done nothing but try to give you a good life. Yeah, well, he says, shrugging like it means nothing. Maybe that's the problem. You were too busy being a provider to notice Mom had moved on. We all did. Kevin's words hit harder than any punch. My own son. Person I worked my entire life to provide for. Standing there, accusing me. Not Linda, not Robert, but me of being the problem. Air knocked out of my lungs. Weight of betrayal pressing down even harder. Stand there staring at him. Can't process what I'm hearing. What are you saying, Kevin? Voice shaking with disbelief. You knew? You knew about all of this. And you said nothing? He doesn't flinch. Doesn't even hesitate. Of course I knew. We all knew. The only person who didn't know was you, Dad. And honestly, it was just easier that way. Easier? That single word makes something snap inside me. Easier for who? For him? For Linda and Robert? While I was out working late nights, skipping vacations, making sure my family had everything they needed, they all decided it was easier to let me live in the dark. Linda seizes moment to twist knife deeper. See, Rich? This is what I've been trying to tell you. You're so oblivious, so focused on playing the hero, that you don't even notice what's happening around you. Maybe if you paid a little more attention, this wouldn't have happened. You're unbelievable, I say. Voice breaking under weight of anger. You don't even have decency to take responsibility for what you've done. You're standing here pointing fingers, like any of this is my fault. She rolls her eyes, face hardening into cold, calculating expression. One I've grown to hate. Oh, get over yourself, Rich. You act like you're some victim. But truth is, you checked out of this marriage long ago. I just stopped waiting for you to notice. Robert, silent until now, finally decides to chime in. All right, that's enough. Let's not do this here. Rich man, I'm sorry things got messy, but maybe it's time to move on. Audacity of his words. Send surge of adrenaline through me. Messy? That's what you call this? You stabbed me in the back, Robert. You took my wife, my family, my dignity. And now you're telling me to just move on? Do you even hear yourself? He shrugs, face infuriatingly calm. Look, it's not like I planned this, all right? Things just happened. They just happened. Repeat words, voice rising. That's the best you can come up with? You destroyed my family. And all you've got is some half-ass excuse about things just happening? Take step toward Robert, fists clenched tight, every fiber of my being screaming to knock that smug look off his face. But I stop myself, not because I don't want to, but because I realize something. Robert isn't worth it. Neither is Linda. They've both shown me exactly who they are. Nothing I do will change that. Instead, turn to Kevin. And you, I say, voice trembling, mix of anger and heartbreak. You knew all of this, and you just let it happen. You let them treat me like this, like I was nothing. Kevin shrugs. His indifference cuts deeper than any insult. What was I supposed to do, Dad? You were never around. Uncle Robert he's been more of a father to me than you ever were. His words strike like sledgehammer. Feel my legs wobble, balance nearly giving out. How had it come to this? How had my own son, my pride, my everything, turned against me so completely? Had I really been so blind? Linda steps forward, voice dripping with condescension. See, Rich, this is why I didn't tell you. You overreact. You make everything about you. Maybe if you just listened for once, you'd understand why things turned out this way. Let out laugh, bitter, humorless sound. Startles even me. Listen to what? More lies. More excuses? I've heard enough, Linda. I've heard every disgusting thing you and Robert said about me. You don't get to twist this around and make me the bad guy. Her smirk falters for a moment. Almost looks like guilt, but gone just as quickly. Replaced by usual disdain. Fine, she says, throwing hands up. Play the victim, Rich. That's what you're good at, isn't it? Shake my head. weight of it all finally settling on shoulders. You know what? You're right, Linda. I have been a victim. Of you. Of Robert. Of this entire farce you've been calling a marriage. But not anymore. Reach into pocket. Pull out USB. Hold it up for everyone to see. This, I say, voice steady now, is everything. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every disgusting word you and Robert have ever said about me. You think you're going to keep living this little fantasy? But you're wrong. Because starting today, I'm done playing the fool. Linda's eyes widen. Real panic flickers across her face. First time all night. What are you going to do, Rich? She asks. Voice sharper now. Less controlled. Look her dead in eye. Calm resolve in my voice. Stark contrast to chaos raging inside. You'll find out soon enough. Walk away from them. Leave them standing there. Linda, Robert, and Kevin. All caught in wreckage of lives they chose to destroy. But I'm not wrecked. Not anymore. For first time in years. Feel glimmer of something. Something I thought I'd lost. Control. Leave them in backyard. Their laughter and smugness finally gone. Close door to house behind me. Quiet inside feels deafening. Silence heavy with everything unsaid. Every betrayal. Every lie I haven't yet addressed. USB in my hand. Feels like both weapon and burden. Have the evidence? But what now? Mind races with possibilities. Divorce? Yes, that's inevitable. Exposing them? Absolutely. Stand in my office, staring at blinking cursor on computer screen. Realize nothing can truly erase what they've done. Click open email draft. Begin typing. My lawyer, Eric. Been friend for years. Sharp, no-nonsense kind of guy. Helped me once before. With property dispute. This time it's not about land or assets. It's about reclaiming my life. Subject, immediate legal assistance. Message, Eric, I need your help. Linda has been having an affair with Robert. Yes, my own brother. I have evidence. Want to discuss divorce proceedings? Ensure this is handled swiftly. Call me ASAP. Attach couple files from USB, just enough to make my case undeniable. Take deep breath. Hit send, lean back in chair. Stare at ceiling. Weight of 20 years of marriage. Love and trust. Lay heavy on chest, but no room for sadness right now. Anger, only thing keeping me upright. Suddenly door slams open behind me. There she is, Linda. Face flushed, eyes wild with mix of fury and desperation. What the hell are you doing, Rich? She hisses, voice low enough to avoid drawing attention. From party outside, but sharp enough to cut glass. Exactly what I should have done years ago, I say calmly. Refuse to give her satisfaction of seeing me rattled. Making sure you and Robert face consequences of what you've done. She lets out bitter laugh. Hands on hips. Oh, please. Don't act like some noble hero. What are you going to do? Send your little recordings to everyone? Ruin Kevin's life in the process? You think he's going to forgive you for dragging this out in public? Her words hit a nerve, but I don't flinch. You ruined Kevin's life the moment you chose to betray me. Don't pin this on me, Linda. And if you're worried about public humiliation, maybe you should have thought about that. Before you decided to sleep with my brother, her mask cracks for a split second. See fear beneath. But then, as always, she doubles down, crosses her arms, glares at me. Fine, go ahead, Rich. Blow it all up. Let's see how your perfect little world holds up. When everyone knows how much of a failure you really are. Stand up. Meet her glare with mine. A failure? You call me a failure? I built this life, Linda. I gave you everything. Everything. And all you did was spit on it. For a moment, neither of us speaks. Tension in room thick enough to choke on. Then, as if on cue, Robert appears in doorway. His presence like gasoline on fire. What's going on, he asks. Voice low and cautious. Get out, I say. Voice cold and unwavering. You've done enough. Rich, he starts. But I cut him off. I said get out, to my surprise. He actually listens. Retreats back into hallway. Linda, however, isn't done. Steps closer. Voice dropping to venomous whisper. You want to play this game, Rich? Fine. But don't forget, I know things about you too. Things that could ruin you. Can't help but laugh. Sound bitter and hollow? Ruin me, Linda? There's nothing left for you to ruin. You've already taken everything. Her expression falters. For a moment, thinks she might actually say something honest. But instead, she turns, storms out, slams door behind her. Sound echoes through house. Left alone again. Silence somehow heavier than before. Sit back down. Hands trembling. Open another folder on USB. More recordings. More proof. But one file catches my eye. Conversation between Linda and Kevin. From few months ago. Stomach tightens as I click play. Mom, don't you think Dad's going to find out eventually? Kevin's voice hesitant, uncertain. Linda's response comes back icy cold. He won't, and if he does, we'll handle it. Your dad's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. Kevin laughs nervously. Yeah, I guess you're right. Recording ends. Sit there staring at screen. My own son, my wife, my brother, they'd all been in on it. All complicit in their own ways. The betrayal wasn't just Linda. It was systemic. A rot that infected every corner of my life. Close laptop, stand up, anger inside me now. Cold, focused resolve. This isn't just about exposing them anymore. It's about reclaiming my dignity, my life, my future. Linda thought she could control narrative, twist things to make herself look like victim. But she underestimated me. Walk back outside. USB still in pocket. Scan the crowd. Party winding down, most guests oblivious. To storm brewing beneath surface. Linda and Robert huddled together by pool. Heads bent in hushed conversation. Kevin stands off to side. Arms crossed. Lost in thought. Watching them. This isn't the end. Not yet. But it's their beginning. Stand at edge of backyard. Watch them from distance. Linda and Robert still huddled, like conspirators caught in act. Their whispers growing more frantic. Kevin meanwhile lingers near patio, pretending not to notice, but stealing occasional glances. At them and at me. It's a silent standoff. A family torn down middle. Though I'm only one who seems to realize how far gone it all is, as much as I want to march over. Expose them right then and there. No, that isn't the move. No. Linda and Robert spent years weaving their web of deceit, carefully constructing their narrative to make me look like fool. If I act impulsively, they'll spin story against me. Need a plan. Need to execute it flawlessly. First step is legal. Phone buzzes in pocket. Pull it out. See Eric's name on screen. Walk back into house. Close door behind me. Before answering, Rich, Eric's voice comes through. Steady and calm. I saw your email. I've looked over the recordings you sent. And let me tell you, this is an open and shut case. We can file for divorce immediately. And with this evidence, you'll come out ahead in every way. Property division, custody, everything. Custody? I repeat, feel chest tightening. Kevin's he's already chosen his side. Eric pauses, then sighs. I know this is hard to hear, but your son is an adult now. Custody doesn't apply. What we're fighting for here is your financial and emotional closure. Don't let their betrayal rob you of that too. Not though he can't see me. What do I need to do? Gather every bit of evidence you can. The USB is a great start, but we'll need more financial records. Proof of any assets they might have misused. If your brother benefited from your household income in any way, that's leverage. And Rich, stay calm. Don't let them provoke you. Swallow hard. Calm isn't exactly my strong suit right now, but no, he's right. Thanks, Eric. I'll send over everything I can tonight. After hanging up, sit at desk, pull out folders and receipts. Anything that might strengthen my case. Deeper I dig, angrier I become. Find unexplained withdrawals, credit card charges for hotels, fancy dinners, even series of wire transfers. To account under Robert's name, they weren't just betraying me emotionally. They were stealing from me, plain and simple. By the time I returned to backyard, most guests have left, only stragglers remain, clearly uncomfortable, sensing tension in air. Linda still by pool, sipping wine like nothing happened. Robert's gone, probably slithered off to avoid another confrontation. Kevin, however, leaning against patio railing, scrolling on phone, like he doesn't have care in world. Approach him first. Kevin, I say, voice low but firm. He looks up, face guarded, hostile. What? He asks flatly. We need to talk. He shoves phone into pocket. About what? Mom, Uncle Robert? I already told you. This isn't my problem. No, I say. Step closer to him. It is your problem. You're my son, Kevin. And whether you like it or not, you've been complicit in this. You've known what's been going on. And instead of telling me, you stood by and watched. You even sided with them. His jaw tightens, but he doesn't respond. Why? I ask. Voice breaking despite myself. What did I do that was so terrible? What made you think this was okay? Kevin finally meets my gaze. For first time, see flicker of something. Guilt, maybe. Or regret. You don't get it, Dad, he says quietly. You were never around. Mom was, Uncle Robert was. You were too busy working, too busy pretending everything was perfect. Pretending, I say, voice rising. I wasn't pretending, Kevin. I was working my ass off to give you and your mother the life you deserved. Do you think this house, your education, all of this, just fell out of the sky? He flinches, but doesn't back down. You don't understand, he mutters. You were there, but you weren't there. And Uncle Robert, he was, want to yell, want to shake him, make him see how absurd his reasoning is. but stop myself. If Linda and Robert manipulated him, and I have no doubt they had, then yelling won't fix it. It would only push him further away. I'm sorry you feel that way, Kevin, I say, voice heavy with exhaustion. But you're wrong. I've always been here for you. And one day, when you realize what they've done, not just to me, but to you, you're going to regret this. He looks away, expression unreadable. I sigh and turn to leave. But then he says something. That stops me in my tracks. Mom said you'd do this. Try to make yourself the victim. She said you'd twist everything, freeze in place, anger bubbling up again. But instead of lashing out, just look at him, heartbreaking all over again. You'll see the truth, Kevin. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you will. Walk back inside, past Linda in kitchen. She's leaning against counter, scrolling through phone, glances up as I enter, eyes narrowing. What now, Rich? She asks, voice dripping with mockery. Going to give me another lecture about loyalty? Ignore her. Head straight for stairs. But before I reach them, turn back. Enjoy your little fantasy while it lasts, Linda, because it's about to come crashing down. Her smirk falters, but she quickly recovers. Oh, please, you don't have the guts. Don't respond. Don't need to. Evidence is on my side. Soon world will know exactly who Linda and Robert really are. Next morning, house feels eerily quiet, kind of silence that lingers. After storm, but before fallout fully settles, sit at kitchen table, sipping coffee. Laptop open to email from Eric, confirming he's filed initial divorce papers. USB already couriered to his office. Spent most of night forwarding everything, every relevant file, every receipt, every document I could find. This isn't just a fight anymore. It's war. Linda eventually appears, footsteps soft but purposeful. As she enters kitchen, doesn't acknowledge me at first, busies herself with pouring coffee. Movements calm, deliberate, but can feel tension radiating off her, like heat from flame. Finally, she breaks silence. So what's your grand plan, Rich? Drag this out in court? Air all our dirty laundry? Because if you think that's going to make you look good, you're wrong. Don't look up from laptop. This isn't about looking good, Linda. It's about the truth, something you wouldn't recognize. If it hit you in face, she scoffs, leans against counter with mug in hand. Oh, give me a break. You're acting like some martyr. But let's not forget, you weren't exactly a stellar husband. You were absent, Rich, emotionally and physically. Maybe if you'd actually paid attention, none of this would have happened. Close laptop slowly, finally meet her gaze. You keep saying that like it justifies what you've done, like it erases the fact that you betrayed me, betrayed this family for years. Do you even hear yourself? Or have you been lying so long that you've started to believe it? Her face hardens, but she doesn't respond. Instead, walks out of kitchen, leaving me alone with bitterness of her words. But I'm not letting her get under my skin. Not today. Later that afternoon, have first meeting with Eric at his office. His desk already covered with documents, highlighted notes. Timeline he's constructed from evidence. You've got them, Eric says. Leans back in chair with satisfied smirk. The recordings, the financial misuse. It's all airtight. Linda and Robert don't stand a chance. Nod, though satisfaction feels muted. By weight of everything else, what happens next? We file for immediate separation and demand full financial audit of your marital assets, Eric explains. We'll also file motion to bring Robert into proceedings, since he directly benefited from your income. And if you're open to it, we can consider making some of this public. Strategically, of course. Public, I ask? Raise eyebrow. Rich, let's be real. Linda thrives on appearances. She's queen of spinning story to make herself look like victim. But if we control narrative, she won't have that luxury. Think about it. I do think about it. Long and hard. Linda spent years building her perfect image. The doting wife, the loving mother, woman who could do no wrong. Exposing her lies would be satisfying, but it would also blow everything wide open. Am I ready for that kind of fallout? I'll think about it, I say finally. Eric nods, understanding. When I get home, find Linda in living room, still scrolling through phone like she doesn't have care in world. Moment I walk in, she looks up, eyes narrowing to slits. Where were you? She asks. Tone accusatory. None of your business, I reply. Walk past her towards stairs. She stands abruptly, blocks my path. Don't play games with me, Rich. I know you've been talking to a lawyer. Stare at her, unflinching. Good, then you know what's coming. Her eyes flash with anger. But there's something else there. Fear. You really want to do this? Fine, but don't think for a second that I won't fight back. I'll take half of everything, Rich. The house, the savings, the retirement, you name it, And don't think I won't drag Kevin into this too. That was it. Mention of Kevin is last straw. Don't you dare use him as pawn in this, I growl. Step closer. You've already poisoned him against me. You've taken enough, Linda. You don't get to take him too. Oh, please, she spits, crosses her arms. Kevin's old enough to make his own decisions. And if he's chosen me, maybe that's because I was the one who was actually there for him. Her words are venomous, designed to hurt. But I don't flinch. Instead, smile. Cold, hard smile. That catches her off guard. You're right, I say quietly. Kevin has made his decision. But you know what? Decisions have consequences. And when he finally sees you and Robert for what you really are, don't come crying to me. Brush past her, head upstairs, leave her standing there in stunned silence. That night, sit in my office, staring at divorce papers. Eric had sent over. They're ready to be filed, but something still nags at me. Linda isn't just going to roll over, admit defeat. She'll fight tooth and nail, twisting truth until it's unrecognizable. And Kevin, God, Kevin, no matter how angry I am, thought of losing him cuts deeper than anything else. Pull out phone, scroll through contacts, find his name, finger hovers over call button for a moment before finally pressing it. Hello? He answers, voice guarded. It's me, I say, voice heavy with emotion. Kevin, we need to talk. Not about your mom or your uncle. Just us. Long pause follows. Finally, he sighs. Fine, when? Tomorrow. Breakfast. Just you and me. All right, he says reluctantly. But don't expect me to change my mind, Dad. I don't, I reply. I just want you to hear me out. As I hang up, sense of determination washes over me. Linda and Robert's lies are unraveling. Soon the truth will come out. But if I have any chance of salvaging a relationship with Kevin, need to act fast. Next morning, arrive early at small diner, the Sunrise Cafe. Place Kevin and I agreed on, not fancy. Just one of those family-run spots with peeling vinyl seats, smell of fresh coffee lingering in air. Sit at booth near window, thoughts racing as I wait for him. This isn't just conversation. It's my last chance to reach him before divorce, and everything else comes crashing down around us. Kevin arrives a few minutes later, hands stuffed into hoodie pockets. Expression mix of annoyance and reluctance. Slides into seat across from me, without saying word. Picks up menu, flips through it. Even though we both know he's not really looking. Thanks for coming, I say, breaking awkward silence. He shrugs. You said it was important. It is, I take deep breath. Try to find right words. Kevin, I know you've been caught in middle of all this, and I know you're angry at me, maybe even disappointed, but I need you to understand something. He sets menu down, finally meets my eyes. Okay, what? This wasn't my choice, I say, voice steady but firm. I didn't choose to have your mother betray me. I didn't choose for your uncle, the man I trusted more than anyone, to stab me in the back. And I sure as hell didn't choose for you to side with them. His jaw tightens, but he doesn't interrupt. So I press on. I know I wasn't perfect, I admit. I worked a lot. I missed things. I thought providing for you and your mom was enough. But I see now that I should have been more present. For that, I'm sorry. But none of that excuses what they did, or what you've done by standing with them. Kevin looks down at table, fingers tracing edge of coffee mug. It's not that simple, Dad. Then explain it to me, I say. Lean forward. Help me understand why you think what they've done is okay. Why you think I deserve this. He hesitates, shoulders slumping, lets out long sigh. It's not that I think it's okay, he says quietly. Mom made it seem like you didn't care. Like you were too busy with work to even notice us. And Uncle Robert, he was there. He showed up, clenched fists under table. Forced myself to stay calm. Kevin showing up doesn't mean what he did was right. He didn't just show up. He replaced me. He stole my place in this family, and he lied to you about why I wasn't around. Don't you see that? Kevin frowns, face conflicted. I don't know, Dad. I don't know what to believe anymore. Reach across table, place hand on his, believe this. I love you. I've always loved you. And no matter what happens, between me and your mom, that will never change. He doesn't pull away, but doesn't respond either. Silence between us stretches, heavy and uncertain, until finally he nods. Okay, it isn't much, but for now, I'll take it. Get home later that day. Linda waiting in living room. She looks different. Less confident, more desperate, stands as I walk in, arms crossed tightly over chest. We need to talk, she says. About what? I ask. Tone flat. She hesitates, then sighs. Rich, look, I know we've both made mistakes, But maybe we can work this out. Figure out a way to move forward without destroying everything. Laugh bitterly. Shake my head. Now you want to talk about moving forward? After everything you've done, Linda? There's no coming back from this. Her eyes narrow. Desperation in voice quickly replaced by anger. You really want to go through with this? Fine. But don't think for a second that you're going to come out looking like hero. I'll make sure everyone knows just how perfect you weren't. Step closer. Stare her down. Go ahead. Say whatever you want. But I have the truth, Linda. And no matter how many lies you tell, the truth will win in the end. She glares at me, hands clenched at sides, but doesn't respond. Instead turns on heel, storms out of room, slams door behind her. Following weeks are whirlwind. Court filings, tense phone calls, endless meetings with Eric. Evidence on USB is damning. Linda knows it. She and Robert try to fight back, but their lies crumble. Under weight of truth, financial records alone, enough to paint clear picture of their betrayal, and recordings seal deal. In end, judge rules in my favor. House is mine, as are majority of shared assets. Linda left with little more. Then clothes on her back, and reputation she worked so hard to protect, now shattered. As for Kevin, our relationship's still work in progress. He apologized, quietly, hesitantly, for believing Linda's lies, but can tell it will take time for him to fully come around, and that's okay. I'm willing to wait. On day divorce finalized, sit alone in house. That had once been our family's home. Feels different now. Empty, quieter, but for first time in long time. Feel sense of peace. This wasn't life I had planned, but it's mine, and I will rebuild it on my own terms. If there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that betrayal doesn't define you. It hurts. Yes, it breaks you, makes you question everything, but it doesn't have to destroy you. You can survive it. You can even thrive. And as for Linda and Robert, let them live with mess they created. I have no more time to waste on them. My life is just beginning. They say home is where heart is, but sometimes you have to build new home from ashes of old one. Sometimes strength isn't in holding on, it's in letting go. Moving forward, one day at a time, Kevin will understand eventually. Truth has a way of surfacing, like morning sun after storm. Meanwhile, I'll be here, standing tall, ready to face whatever comes next. Because that's what survivors do. They keep going. They rebuild. They thrive. And that's exactly what I plan to do. Not just for me, but for Kevin too. Even if he doesn't see it yet, time heals all wounds, or so they say. But more importantly, time reveals all truths. And truth, that's all I ever wanted. That's all I ever needed. Now I have it, and with it, freedom to start again.